include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning and welcome on a bright and fresh sunrise safari. We are on our way to lions on a buffalo kill, and this is Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Good morning everybody, and welcome to what is a spectacular early summer's day here in the 8.5 million acre wilderness that is the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park. We're in the Kruger, that is the iconic park of South Africa, and on the western fringes thereof the Sabi Sand. In the Sabi Sand, we of course are on Nkuhuma, a beautiful little spit of land that we are very privileged to call home. This is my tent. My name is James Henry. On camera today is David. Hello, David.
Hello, James.
And as you've met Jamie already, you know about her. Also out on drive, the inimitable Brent Leo Smith is speeding around, hoping for a repeat of the wild dog sighting we had yesterday. Stefan is out on foot, knocking about the place. And if you look very carefully, just down there is Tayla McCurdy, everybody. She's searching for insects with a homemade insect net of sorts. Right, so we've got lots of action for this morning. We're very much looking forward to talking to you. Hashtag Safari Live if you're on Twitter, or questions at wildearth.tv. It would be good to hear from you during the course of the morning. We have a number of things we're hoping to show you today, and while we do that, while we find what is best to show you, let's head across to Stefan to find out what he's got.
Good morning, good morning. Yes, it's myself, Stefan and Jandra on camera, and we are enjoying that sunset that is just peeking up over the horizon. A brilliant orange ball right now. It was a little bit red when it arrived, but we absolutely got to see the sun this morning, so it doesn't look like the weather's going to change much today. Around about 66 degrees Fahrenheit, very comfortable to walk around at the moment, I must be honest with you. And we heard some leopard calling around the camp last night, so we're just making a perimeter check on all the most prominent game paths around the camp, just to see in which direction that leopard went. I know it sounded like a female. Brent found some female tracks going out somewhere, and there's some male. And it was Chris Rogue that found Tingana, or saw Tingana on the dam cam drinking at the pan. Probably him that was calling around. He never stops calling when he gets here. He's a leopard that enjoys that sort of thing. So we're checking the main game paths around Nkuhuma at the moment to see where those tracks come out, and then we'll see, I suppose, where the wind takes us at the end of the day, and we'll see what happens from there. No other plan for this morning. Just that, and it's sometimes nice to let yourself just wander, to be quite honest. And Brent, I hear, is also watching this beautiful sunrise, so we are going to go, and well, you're going to go and watch that with him. Morning and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. Brian, Jube on camera, myself, Brent Leo Smith. We decided we were going to do a slow motion sensory safari today. No, of course, we're only joking. We're out on the southern boundary looking for Queen Karula. Remember, this is live, so the sun is just popping over the eastern horizon here in South Africa. And for you not sure who Queen Karula is, she's the dominant female leopard. She's been a bit scarce over the last little while. She had a kill in the property to the south of us. Both her cubs were seen yesterday, but she wasn't. The kill is finished. So I'm hoping to find fresh pug marks of her coming back to visit us on Nkuhuma. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you'd like to send me any questions. At the moment I am going in slow motion. That's so I don't miss any tracks in this gorgeous morning light. So far, no sign of Queen Karula, but there are cats, and they're happy cats.
because they've got bellies full of buffalo. Let's go have a look.
There are definitely some very full bellies here, and what a fantastic way to start off our morning safari then, with 5 lionesses munching away on a buffalo, and hopefully at some point 8 little cubs as well. And the lionesses are at this point so full that they're kind of half-heartedly eating, nibbling, kind of like the sort of leftovers of somebody's large Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner. The luncheon sandwiches afterwards. Oh, yummy. Doesn't that look appealing first thing in the morning? They very conveniently chose a spot where we can only park upwind of the carcass, for which I am exceptionally thankful. Listen to the mom calling. She's calling to her cubs. How wonderful is that sound? Come on, little ones. Mommy's calling. She's been thoroughly ignored. How very rude. It's a very noisy morning out here. The doves are also being exceptionally vocal. Come on, little cubs. You're being called for breakfast. Anticipation. Oh, somebody's up. Here we go. Ah, and they have emerged, full of the joys of spring, of course, and thoroughly entertaining. This lioness. Oh, look at the strength of these animals. That's incredible. Even with a little bit of it eaten, that buffalo carcass is still mammothly heavy, much, much heavier than she is. She's just managed to roll the whole thing over. Oh, I don't know where to look. There's so much happening this morning. Now the cubs are calling back. Completely ignoring the calls of Mom. Far too involved in their games. And there's just little lion cubs everywhere. Looking a little bit dirty, like they've been covered in buffalo juice. Just sitting quietly for a moment so that you can appreciate the sounds that are coming from these little creatures. Big fearsome predators practicing their roars. Not quite as intimidating as the adults just yet. Very contented little cubs, bellies full of buffalo, cousins and siblings to play with, and an endless array of sticks to chew on. And at some point, those little baby teeth are going to stay, the cubs are actually going to start teething. And just imagine what a nightmare it must be dealing with 8 little lion cubs that are wanting to chew absolutely everything, including each other and moms and aunts. Look at them go. Isn't it going to... Oh, I got you. Oh, practicing that all-important back grab that one day will serve them very, very well when it comes time to hunt buffaloes with mom and aunts. Oh, is it breakfast time? playtime. Got you. I'm just trying to see. I think that's the youngest lioness that they're playing with. Oh. All coming to join in the game. And of course, oh. No, that's not the young lioness. It's one of the mums. Yes, I know, girl. Life's tough, huh? Where are you going, adventurers? Don't disappear too far. All the way up onto Gowrie Cut Line. My, we are getting very brave. Of course, we always need to do a head count whenever we sit with the Nkuhumas now, having known the tendency of them to go off adventuring and disappear for 2 days. I am, of course, talking about Hansel and Gretel, the cubs that went missing and got lost, and only managed to reunite after 3 days. I think that trauma is a little bit forgotten now. All reunited and very contented, with enormous bellies full of buffalo. Which is amazing, because the last time I saw the Nkuhumas, they had bellies full of buffalo already, and then they went out that night and hunted another one. Oh, look at that! Combination of yoga and breakfast at the same time. Yummy. How thoroughly unpleasant. You stuck, girl. And unless you were wondering, with their full bellies, would they be more willing to share with a male that came through? And as you know, of course, they don't really have a choice in the matter. But lions will always be less aggressive around kills when they have full bellies. So if you watch initially when the lions first make a kill, there's lots of growling at each other, lots of defensiveness over their particular corner of the kill that they're feeding on. And then as they start to gorge themselves, then they get, oh, that poor lioness. She looks so put upon. They're using her as a jungle gym. That face. But yes, they will be more willing to share with full bellies than they might otherwise, which makes total sense. Hello, girl. Yes. As the flies start to gather around the lionesses and their slightly smelly buffalo meal, let's go back over to Steph and see which particular insect he's found for you this time.
Have a look at this little guy. We've just been walking on these game paths around the camp just to have a look for tingana or any other sign of any big cat around the camp, and we bumped into this assassin bug. He's still sleeping, he's snoozing in this morning, and the reason for that is that he's a daytime predator and not a nighttime predator, and he needs the air temperature to warm up a little bit more before he gets going. Isn't that crazy? So now he needs to stay hidden. He doesn't have a house to go into, and so what he does is he camouflages himself like a stick. So he's looking exactly like the terminal end of a stick. He's got his abdomen sticking up in the air, he's got his head down very low to the stick, and any nocturnal predator will come and think he's a stick if he doesn't move. The trick with insects is he's got to stay very still. They hunt primarily by feel and movement. Just have a look at that. We've been seeing quite a lot of these assassins around lately. I think it's probably one of the most common, next to the housefly, which plagues me. Next to it's the most common of the insects around right now. This little assassin bug. And something that we've noted from time to time is this white abdomen that they have. And right here on the tip of his thorax, which is that middle piece inside there, they've got a slight fuzz, or at least some spikes that come out of that thorax and head. Not too sure exactly what they're for. It could just be his particular or their particular type of decoration. I find that very interesting. Not much else on the stick. I think he's going to find slim fares today when he finally starts to hunt. And then a long walk to the next bush. There's quite fresh elephant dung around, I must be honest. You can have a look over here. Let's see. So breaking it open with a foot, always a good thing. And then immediately feeling for body heat. And this is ice cold. They call it the night chill. And you can absolutely feel the freezing temperatures transferred all the way through the dung. And that'll dry out. So it was probably deposited around about sunset yesterday, around about there. Let's have a look up here quickly. We've got a flock of starling above us, wheeling about. Actually no, those are buffalo weavers. So this is the first flight of the buffalo weavers that live in the fever trees at Djuma, and they fly around in a flock together, landing, picking up whatever sticks they can, and then flying back to the nest. All right, and on that note, James has got I don't know if he's got something exciting for you. I'm sure he has something exciting for you in that tent of his.
I'm warning you now, everybody, this is slightly macabre. What I have done, just to warn you, is cut off Woody the woodpecker's head. And I have plucked him and taken the skin off, because what I wanted to show you is the astounding tongue. So it is going to be pretty disgusting, I'm going to warn you, but it is amazing. Here is Woody. Woody did die of natural causes. Well, he flew into a window, which isn't particularly natural, but we didn't kill him. Look at this is the tongue, and you can see there where it begins. It begins behind the beak. It goes around the back of his head. It splits in two, and then goes down towards this barbed tip. That's the barbed tip that goes spiking into the holes that he drills. So if we were to put him back, or sort of put it back this way, there it is. That's where it sits in his mouth. See? And he sticks it out until it's that far out of his mouth. Isn't that amazing? I think that is absolutely astounding. Now, the barbed piece here is actually a sheath. It seems to be a sort of cartilaginous sheath that sticks over the top. And what we're going to do now is just stick these barbs underneath the microscope and see what they look like there. Davey, if you don't mind, I'm just going to put this box on the ground. Now, let's see. I'll just focus. Well, I'll try and focus. You know, I'm not very fast with this microscope. Why is it not showing? Sorry, everybody. One day I'll get it correct. There we are. Right, there we are. There you are. So you can see there the barbs. Look how sharp it is on the end. And those barbs are like little spear points. Let me turn it around. There we go. Now you can see they're like little spear points, and they will hook and stab into any little insect that he manages to catch, or that he doesn't manage to, that he used to manage to catch. And so a bit like, I suppose, an old school whaler's harpoon. We seem to, no, we're okay. Good, I thought we'd nearly lost our signal there on the microscope, but it seems to be okay. So that's the sad story of Woody the woodpecker. I'm going to also take the top of his head off and see if we can't find that spongy outer casing that stops his brain from being concussed. So, we have some lions, we have the brain of the woodpecker to look forward to. We're going to go off to a short fake break, and we'll see you just after that. Right, we're still with you, obviously, as we were before. We're just having to practice those little things. And the idea behind that, just to explain it to you, is that we learn how to throw forward, if you know what I mean. So with the TV audience, we give them a bit of a cliffhanger to come back to after the advert break, because you know how an advertisement can distract you from what you are watching. Now, I'm not going to cut his head open while you are watching me cut his head open, because, well, that will just be disgusting. So, well, and it is disgusting. He's starting to smell a bit niffy as well. So we'll put him back over here. And let's go over to the map here and give you an idea of where Jamie is. Hang one sec, Davey, sorry, 1 second. I'm just going to quickly look exactly where the other two are. Right here, I can see now. Cable. Chips cable. Right, that means watch out for the cable, David's just saying. Unfortunately, my wildebeest here, Wilmina, we'll call her Wilmina. There was been some complaint that I've named all of the animals in the tent after males. That's because they were males, you see. So we will call the wildebeest here Wilmina, the wildebeest. She's not being very cooperative today, David, is she? No, she isn't. Anyway, right. Let's have a look. Do you like our map, everybody? We quite like it. We're quite pleased with its existence. I will just point out some particularly impressive features. This side, perhaps for the shadow, Dave, because it's morning now. This, of course, is the hyena den. That's very nice, yes, the old hyena den. This is the Balanites tree at Zoe's Road. This is the jackalberry tree on Gowrie Cutline, and that is where Jamie is sitting right now with the Nkuhumas. That's their buffalo, of course, which is dead. Very nice. And then down over here is Brent Leo Smith. He's sitting over there. And this over here, BLS, big, loud sound. And over here is the African hawk eagles, sorry, the Batalier's nest on Leadwood Road. Yes, that's what that is. We have also one other nest, interesting nest site here, Walby, the Wahlbergs. You know Mr. and Mrs. Wahlbergs, that's where they are over there. And this artwork, everybody, was created by Kirsten McLennan Smith, who moonlights as a professional mapping artist in the camp, which is very nice. And Geraldine also, of course, sorry, Geraldine, yes, Geraldine would also like credit. She did the Photoshop work, which you can see is exceptional. So a team effort here. I think it's a great map. It shows exactly what's going on. Then I think Steph is somewhere around here. He's not too far from that hyena den there. Steph on the bushwalk. And what they are doing is, well, you know what they're doing. They're looking for, perhaps, the luckiness of a leopard in the morning, which would be great. So that's the lay of the land at the moment. I'm not sure what Brent's plan is, but what I think is quite nice to see here, and I don't know if you ever get to see this, but when you go to Cheetah Plains, what happens is you go down onto the southern boundary, and we head across this way, and along this road, and then down, this is Nkoro here, and we head down onto Cheetah Plains, and that road there, you know that you kind of lose us. The signal isn't great, but that's why it's a slightly disjointed kind of thing, and we're not allowed to go onto any of these little reserves. Animals, of course, can come and go as they please, and that's how it goes. Let's head right back to the banks of the great Umluamati drainage with the Nkuhuma Pride.
And we are still with our Nkuhumas, making a terrible racket whilst they feed from the milk bar, fighting over access to Mom. And welcome back to our TV audiences. We are still here live from the heart of Djuma Private Game Reserve, alongside a river system with 5 lionesses and 8 little cubs on a buffalo kill. Isn't it incredible that you can watch this wherever you are in the world, coming to you live, happening right here and right now? And what a racket these little cubs are making. Nothing washes down a buffalo breakfast like a little bit of mom's milk, but there's our siblings and cousins to contend with. I cannot believe the racket these little things are making. It's amazing that that much noise is coming from them. Our name is Jamie, and this is one of the most incredible sightings that we get to experience, sitting with a lion pride that we've got to watch, been able to watch over the last, well, I've been able to watch over the last year or so, and getting to know them on a really, really personal level. And now to see them with 8 healthy, happy, bouncing little cubs is a truly special experience, especially after what the Nkuhumas have been through over the last year or so, since the takeover of the Birminghham males and the loss of several of their pride members as a result, and the dispersal of their young male cub junior. To see them doing so well and being so successful is very, very special. And they really are. The Nkuhuma lionesses are seriously a force to be reckoned with. It seems as though they are taking down a buffalo every 2 or 3 days, which is impressive for 5 lionesses. It's no easy task, and it is something that they take their life into their hands each and every single time they do it. But with 8 hungry mouths to feed, it's hard being a lioness at the moment, but at least they have the support of their sisters. Now, right, you were wondering about us and the sort of proximity to the lions and how they view us, and whether or not they see us as some kind of weird moving tree or a living thing, and how they respond to that, and if they ever scent mark the vehicles. We've nearly been scent marked a few times, not intentionally. It's just so happened that we've been in the same line as the bush that the lions are urine spraying onto, or perhaps the leopard is urine scent marking onto, and that's because we've just happened to put our vehicle somewhere and they've decided that's where they want to scent mark. But it's not, the animals never intentionally scent mark the vehicles, no. In terms of how they see it, I think it depends upon the animal. Yes, I think in a way we are as much a part of their landscape as a tree or a termite mound. I don't think they view us as such, though. I know there's disagreement on this. I have never bought into the theory that the animals don't know that there are living things inside the vehicles and that they see it all as one unit. I know for a fact I have been looked at directly in the eyes by certain animals. And I also think, personally, that they know who is in control of that vehicle. Maybe not, but they know that the person in the front is responsible for it. I don't know why I think that. I think it's just experience in terms of watching them look at you. For us, our cameramen sit up behind us and much higher, and yet a lot of the time when the animals are walking past or when they're keeping an eye on us, they'll look directly at the driver rather than the cameraman. I don't buy into the idea that they don't know we're here. They do. We just happen to be not a threat to them and part of their landscape, as I said. And of course, you know, with these, you're seeing it in action right now. These cubs are growing up with us as a part of their day-to-day existence. Sometimes they look at us a little bit curiously. Sometimes their eyes track the movement of the vehicle's wheels. And sometimes they look straight at us. But other than that, there are far more entertaining things out here to keep them busy. And we're really not too much of a problem or a concern. That being said, I've also had animals try and use my vehicle. We had it with the hyena fight, a serious hyena skirmish between clan members, where the targeted hyena tried to climb underneath my vehicle. And I've had Amber Eyes, who, by the way, I don't know where she is. I said there were 5 lionesses, but I've done a head count and I only count 4. I don't know if she's gone off to lie in the drainage line away from niggling cubs. But I've had Amber Eyes use my vehicle and play hide and seek before with a male, where she went round one side, around the back, and he went round and blocked her from one side, and then she tried to go around the other side, basically trying to ditch him and move off with one of the other females, and he wouldn't let her. And it started to get a bit disconcerting, and I believe Kirsty was on the back. It was her birthday. She watched the lioness slink around the back of the vehicle several times over. That was a very special experience, and it just goes to show how comfortable they are with the vehicles themselves. That being said, very important never to take that for granted. Just like it's very important for us not to take magical moments like this in the morning, dappled morning sunlight for granted. And speaking of morning sunlight, it's the best time of day to spot tracks. Let's go and have a look at which animal Steph is tracking.
While checking these game paths and tracks around the camp, well, for any of the signs from the animals passing through the night, we are looking for signs of Tingana. This morning, we've come across something that is a herald of the summer to come for us. This is one of the very first tracks of a scorpion that we're seeing, one of the largest scorpions that we've got. And I know it's a scorpion because of this straight line. That is one feature. That's his tail that's dragging on the floor behind him. And another feature is these feet imprints that they leave. They leave series of 3 next to one another, just slightly offset from one another. You can see there and there and there. This is the back foot, middle foot, front foot. Back foot, middle foot, front foot of a big scorpion, probably one of those big granulatus species of scorpion. I'm just going to draw you a picture quickly, if I can. See, since my colleagues are all getting good at these drawing pictures, I feel peer pressure to do it. So from the front, the scorpion's body is round and well, oval really, with the tail that is held up over the head without the tail drag, right? Then you have one back foot, it's quite big. You have a middle foot, and you have a smaller right front foot that comes all the way to the... Oh, my stick is breaking. So back foot on the other side, middle foot, front foot. That, from the front, is what the scorpion looks like, and gives you that very distinctive 3 scratches that we're seeing over there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And every now and again, the tail lies flat. The scorpion will look like this from the top. Pincers out this side, tail dragging on the floor with its legs there, there and there, there, there and there. So that's the scorpion from the top view that you see. I'm getting well done on the drawings over there. They leave this very, very distinctive track. And I know that the nighttime temperatures are now high enough for these insects, or these arthropods at least anyway, to get going. And that is a good sign of summer to come. It means that they are starting to hunt and the first rains are not too far away. We've got bets going on in the camp. I think Brian's bet is coming up now in the next couple of days. I think it's the 10th, no, it is the 10th or the 15th or the 20th of September. I know we've got bets going all the way through until the 15th of September for our very big rains here. Rains across 20 mils, which is about that much of rain in any given fall, and that is the end of spring, basically, when summer starts. All right, off we go. Carry on with our... we've got Brent, who's got a bird nest to show you.
So this is a multi-layered apartment building. There we've got the vultures, being the biggest in the penthouse. And just a floor down, there's a Warburg's eagle in its nest. Now we've got 2 predators in their nests right next to each other, and they seem to be getting on okay for now. And of course, in the cheap seats out on the edge are the buffalo weavers. And there is even a buffalo weaver. Looks like one, is it? It is 2. There we go. 3 bird species all sharing the same tree. Lovely big knobthorn tree. We're down on Cheetah Plains. And on Cheetah Plains, I've got a report about a firm favourite of all of ours. And I've seen his tracks, but unfortunately they seem to get further to the south. But Sindila was seen just behind the Cheetah Plains Lodge last night, and he's carried on in this little river system, and I was really hoping he was going to come out this way, but no such luck, so we're going to keep on looking for the Styx pride. So let's carry on our adventure here in the east. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you want to ask any questions, and hopefully the big cats of Cheetah Plains are going to be. It's absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous morning. Okay, so this is a good area. Not a. Oh, what have we got here? So I'm hoping for lion tracks or leopard tracks. Okay, nothing here. So while we continue our adventure, let's go see what James is up to.
Now, everybody, I warn you again, it's going to be slightly macabre. I have chopped the woodpecker's head in half. If you are a sensitive viewer and you've perhaps just had something to eat, you might want to skip this next bit. Here is Woody's head. There is Woody's head in cross-section. Nice, David?
Yum, yum.
Yes. Now what you can see, I'm just going to look at the screen so that I can see where I'm pointing. There is a spongy material that protects his brain from being hurt. So the sort of pinky bit to the back and behind there, that stuff there, is his brain. And then in front of that and underneath it, there is that spongy stuff that absorbs the shock when he smashes his head, of course, into the bark and hard wood out of which he drills the insects that he eats. Now we'll have a look at it under the microscope. This is probably a bit like watching a live surgery, perhaps, as executed by a man with a small knife as opposed to a scalpel. Now let's have a look there. That's the spongy stuff there. That's the spongy material going into his beak, you can see there. And then his brain is there. That's his brain, that smooth stuff. So, I mean, that is quite interesting. It's also pretty, well, I mean, it's not something you want to see all the time. So I don't know that we'll keep Woody in this state. I think we'll probably hand him to the ants and scavengers of the wilderness and send him on his way with the great thanks for the sacrifice that he has made in order to edify us as to the length of his tongue and the sponginess of the brain case that he has. Let us go and dispose of Woody. What do you think, David?
Yes, good idea.
I think it's a very good idea. Here is my scalpel. You can see a very fine... Yeah, now, Gabe, this is a very, very important point. Just quickly, sorry, Dave, I'm going to show them. We do absolutely use hand sanitizer, Dave. And so, yeah, I'm very careful about that. It's not, I mean, I remember dissecting a rat when I was at university. It was my very first sort of attempt at surgery. A great day it was. And we didn't use any kind of cleaning materials. We didn't worry about any sort of sterilization. But I think it is important that we do that sort of thing. And I mean, ideally I should use gloves. So if you are a younger viewer and you want to do this, and this is not a bad thing to do, it's a really good way to discover animals and their bits and pieces. Good idea to wear perhaps latex gloves while you do it. Righty, we're going to go towards another advertisement break. While we do that, well, I might bury Woody, I think. Come back, you'll see the lions. Hopefully Brent will have some luck with the leopards. We'll see you later. Right, we're back with TV, everybody. Internet, I mean. Sorry, I'm just listening to the final control there. Woody is now going to be buried, and then we'll make a little mark here, of course, for him. We'll make his grave over there, and I shall do that while you are looking at the bird that Brent Leo Smith has found on Cheetah Plains.
Now this is absolutely a fascinating dance that's going on. It's a courtship display by grey-headed bushrights. Look at that. You can hear them. Isn't that incredible? I'm going to hop out into the open again shortly. Just going to wait. Oh, they've gone deeper. But you hear that wing, that beak clicking. There we go. Oh, off they go. Oh, that was beautiful. Oh, there's another bird, Brian. If we come off to the left of the tree they originally started in, and there. Where's he gone? Oh, he flew. Well, anyway, that was wonderful to see that little display by the orange-breasted bushright. It's not something we see too often. We're now right on the western edge of Cheetah Plains in search of the Styx lions. It sounds like tracks of Sindile headed further west. So unfortunately, oh, you never know, he might turn around and pop back. Ah, there we go. And a beautiful bird. I think, well, here's one for you guys to identify. Let me know if you know what bird that is. Send your answers through to #SafariLive on Twitter. Oh, beautiful. Look at the red eye. That's one of the diagnostic features of this bird. Oh, he's itchy this morning. So one beautiful thing about these clear early mornings, the birds are very active while it's still cool. So we do get a chance to do some nice bird watching. Beautiful. Okay, well, I'm going to keep checking very carefully around here. And I think I've just spotted something, so I'll try to figure out what's going on. Jamie has got the smallest member of the order Carnivora.
The smallest and, well, would we say cutest? We've just been with lion cubs, so I suppose it's a difficult comparison to make. But definitely very sweet little dwarf mongoose, and we've arrived at perfect timing as they are just starting to emerge from their burrows. A nice thing about this quarantine group, quarantine family, is that they are relatively comfortable with our vehicle presence, which means they will start to pop up soon. They're just having a little bit of a lazy start. This is the earliest riser. The others are all in those termite holes, and every now and again a head just peeks out over the top. Let's try. Ah. Good morning. How cute is that? Oh, and gone. Bye. Is it still too early? Come on. We've just got to be patient. I've sat with dwarf mongoose before, to the point, and I've just been very, very quiet, that they have come right up and sniffed and nibbled on my tires. Hello. Surprise. I wonder how many of them are going to start popping their heads out as we sit here and watch them. the largest of our carnivore species to the absolute smallest, welcome back on your live safari experience here in the middle of Nkuhuma Private Game Reserve. And what a treat we have for you this morning. This is the smallest member of the carnivore family, a little group of dwarf mongoose, and they are just waking up, popping their heads out of the holes and starting to emerge. Now, my name is Jamie, and you are on a live safari experience, which means that you can send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter. And we get to just sit and watch as these wonderful little creatures decide to start popping their heads out of the holes. Let's see if we can't get them to come out. Nope, I've lost my touch. They're not even looking at me. Now, dwarf mongoose in midwinter tend to be rather lazy risers. Oh, look at those sharp teeth. What that means is that they wait until it's quite a lot warmer before they start to pop their heads out. But on spring mornings like this morning, emerging at 7 o'clock in the morning is not beyond them, although some of them, just like people, are a little bit more, it's a bit easier for some of them to get started in the morning. Let's put it that way. And those two are early risers, and the early dwarf mongoose catches the scorpion, in theory. Yes, good morning. What they'll spend their first sort of half an hour to 45 minutes doing in the morning is coming out and sitting and sunbathing. It's like the dwarf mongoose equivalent of your cup of coffee. Their morning rituals, stopping to groom each other and reaffirm their bonds. Oh no, that's tragic. And we're back. I have absolutely no idea how I did that. My apologies. Apparently I disappeared. That's alright. You had the mongoose to entertain you. That little one that's popped its head out on the right is my favourite. Come on. There we go. The tiniest of little creatures with a fascinating social structure. And we've just been with, as we said, the largest carnivore, the lions, with their social structure. The dwarf mongoose have a slightly different approach. We saw all the little cubs moving from pride member to pride member and doing what's known as allo-suckling. Dwarf mongoose, instead of all of the females having babies, only one will. She is the alpha female, and she doesn't tolerate any other offspring being born. What she'll do, and what the entire family will do, is be devoted to caring for the offspring of the alpha pair. A little bit of a contrast to the way that the social structure of the lions has evolved. While we sit here and wait for the mongoose to decide to pop out, or whether or not they're going to, let's go back. It's such a beautiful morning for a stroll, don't you think? Let's go back to Steph.
Just have a look at this. Looks like a bomb has gone off underneath this knobthorn acacia, but no, it is actually just, and it's just been pushed over and eaten by an elephant. And all of these ends are where the elephant snapped off the roots of this particular knobthorn and have eaten it. But because the substrate was so sandy, it's allowed us a unique view at its root systems. Acacias are well known for having what we call a taproot. A taproot is a long single root that is, according to the theory that I've read anyway, that goes straight down. But this is the taproot that I'm holding right now. But it looks like it was shared in 3 equal parts between this particular part right here, this, the main taproot it looks like, and then this one here, which also, but none of it goes straight down. If I have a look, if you come around this side of the tree and you come and have a look at the tree itself, here's the tree itself, here's the main stem, and then rather than a continuation of this root out towards your direction at the moment, these roots bend at 90 degrees as soon as they go into the ground. I just find this absolutely fascinating. Acacias are supposed to have some of the deepest root systems in the bush out here, and that's what makes them flower so early and what makes them leaf so early, is that they have access to water. And while that may be true in under perfect conditions, this particular tree just shows that it's not always the truth, that something under the ground over here keeps these roots, well, keeps them going out horizontally, and that was why it was so easy to push this tree over, I think. It just didn't have a deep enough anchor. It's incredible. It also gives us a nice insight into how elephants pushing down trees help animals that can't reach as high as what they can. So now, rather than this tree only accessible to giraffe and elephant, now this tree becomes accessible to everything, from steenbok all the way up to kudu, and then also giraffe and elephant. This is unfortunately going to kill this tree. I don't think this tree will survive this particular amount of damage. But in a lot of cases, acacias that are pushed over like this, or broken down in these particular cases, can carry on growing. And they will carry on growing and have this this leafy barrier that now is created and is accessible to other animals. This in turn also forms a windbreak, and this is where I think this particular tree is going to be so vital. As this tree dies, the branches are going to start falling down into an ever-increasingly thicker mat of vegetation, or at least dry sticks, at about this level. As the wind blows the grass seeds around in December, January, the wind is going to blow these grass seeds into this tangle of sticks. The grass seeds are going to drop underneath the branches out here, and you're going to get what we call a seed bank. Because it's so thorny, because this particular barrier is so impenetrable, the seeds of the grass are allowed to grow, and from there will propagate more seeds into the bush around them. And this is what we call, as I said, a seed bank because of that. Come and have a closer look at these thorns. They have to be one of the most wicked thorns to get stuck in. You don't want to be stuck in a thorn tree like this. You pretty much won't go anywhere. Have a look at that. You'll be able to stick your arm in, but getting your arm out again is going to be a different story. Similar thing, if I had a very sensitive nose, would do exactly that. Very nice. And it's given us some decent view of some of this lichen that's growing on here. Now, lichen is a plant that is made up of a symbiotic relationship between algae and fungus. The algae has chlorophyll in it and can photosynthesize and make sugars from that. The fungus utilizes the plant material to make carbohydrates, and together they live together in these leafy sheaths, and together they grow and they spread, and it is called lichen. This, I don't know, this partnership, I would say, but it's one organism, one was not a creature, but it's one plant. And on trees and plants where nutrition is easy to find, they grow relatively quickly. But on rocks where nutrition is not easy to find, they grow very, very slowly, up to 1 centimeter per 100 years. That's as big as my fingernail every 100 years. Interesting, hey? Now, another man that is incredibly interesting is Mr. James Henry. And what is even better is we have him crawling around outside of his tent.
Indeed, I am crawling around outside the tent, everybody, and I'm crawling around outside the tent because Herbert yesterday found us this rather astounding nest, which he says is a waxbill's nest. It had fallen from the tree onto the ground, but in it, everyone, is a little egg, which has been rejected. Now, I must just say that we did not take this out of a tree. It fell to the ground, and I think this is probably last season's egg. It's covered in waxbill dung, as you can see there. Can you see that, Dave? Yep. Oh no, it's come apart. There we are. Tiny little egg. And from that would have emerged a little baby waxbill. Unfortunately, this baby waxbill did not make it out of its egg. What we're going to do now is go and examine whether we can find perhaps some mites. Now, we have seen the Styx cubs who Brent's looking for, and we've seen that they do seem to have what we think is sarcoptic mange, which is a mange caused by mites. I think we're quite quick to make that diagnosis. There are lots and lots of different kinds of mange that animals can get out here. It may or may not be sarcoptic mange, but let's see if we can find a mite in here, and we'll see what it is all about, really. Let's head across to Brent Leo Smith now. He is not with the Styx Pride, he is with something infinitely rarer. Gobble, gobble, gobble.
But a wonderful flock of ground hornbills. There's 6 of them, including a juvenile. Unfortunately, we've only got a good sight of one at the moment. We just watched one of them feed a little snake to the youngster. Now, I'll try and get you a view of the youngster, because you'll see he doesn't quite have that developed red on the face like the adults. There's that little one gone. Oh, that one looks like there's one looks like it's catching something. Oh, whatever it is, it's been swallowed. So there you can see, where's the juvenile now? I'll turn your head, there we go. See the yellow, not quite red yet, on the hornbill on the left. One of the longest lived birds we get out here. They're living up to about 40 years. We've been lucky enough, we've been seeing them quite frequently down here on Cheetah Plains. There's 2 juveniles in the group and 4 adults. And now marching off south into Mala Mala. Oh, a dove just appeared on top of frame, flying directly at us there. Very positive to see 2 sub-adults. They take an incredibly long time to grow up, and often they will stay in their natal group for their whole life. Very particular feeders, and very finicky when it comes to nesting. They need very, very specific set of criteria for a nest. It has to be a big hollow tree, and normally in this part of the world they're found in jackalberry hollows. But if anything affects them around the nest, they will abandon that nest, and they might not mate or breed again for 10 years. And it's one of the reasons that they are so endangered. Probably one of the biggest things that knocked the ground hornbill population early on was pesticides. Oh. Brian talks to them. Have a word, Brian. Yeah, there. There we go. There's Brian's rendition of a ground hornbill calling. Okay, well, let's leave those ground hornbills to carry on their morning mission. And we're going to do the same. So far, the big cats of Cheetah Plains have not been playing along. We haven't even seen a footprint. While we continue in search of the big cats of Cheetah Plains, or anything for that matter, it seems like birds are our forte this morning. Let's go back to Steph, who actually has a mammal.
We definitely do have a mammal. We've got a zebra in the distance. Doesn't seem like he wants to play with us, in actual fact, of letting us get a little bit closer. But that is just because we're on foot. And don't forget, man, an animal like this, or a potential food source, has been in competition for many, many years. Many thousands, many hundreds of thousands of years, in fact. And they have this sort of natural distrust of man on foot. Now, although we don't do any hunting of animals in this particular area, they still retain that sort of genetic fear for man on foot. And we'll see if we can get a little bit closer in the next couple of minutes. Let's see if we can go a bit closer there, Jean-Jacques. Come, let's go. It looks like there's more than one zebra. I'm going to opt for a more direct approach because of the fact that, quite simply, the wind is blowing across like this. So we won't be blowing our scent directly onto the zebra. Let's see if that strategy works. You can see that zebra there in the distance. At least we got to show you a zebra. Now they're busy walking off. They're in this area because this is pretty much the last couple of patches of grass that we can see. You can see that the grass cover here is not too bad in actual fact. You can see that even though the termites have been at it and even though the zebra have been at it, it's not, these tufts of grass are still substantial enough to, I suppose, support things like elephant and zebra and hippo. Oh, there's just such a fantastic smell to this type of grass. It's sort of a wintry grass smell. Smell? There? Oh, it's a beautiful smell. It's sort of, I don't know how to say it. It gives me these feelings of these crisp mornings and these misty, crisp mornings in winter. It's lovely. But I'm going to leave that over there for the next zebra to come along and eat it. And we're going to move over to James in the tent.
Just outside the tent, everybody, there's a white-browed scrub robin going. Davey's there. He's actually just on top of the tree there. You see him? He's perched on the tree there. He's just flying up over the top of us. He's raised. No, he's gone. Anyway, that's just to prove that this is the best office in all the world, or laboratory as it has been today, a surgery indeed. Now, we've been microscoping this blue waxbill's nest. We haven't found a mite, but what we have found was a worm of some sort. It was a larva, I suspect of a beetle, but unfortunately it has managed to give us the slip, and it's a tiny little thing. Probably only about, I would say, about a meter across, a millimeter across. And so I can't actually see it with my naked eye. There. Look at that, everybody. Oh, look. There it goes, everyone. Now, the reason I say this is a larva, an insect, as opposed to a genuine worm, is that if you look carefully, it's actually only got 6 legs. It's got 6 legs at the front and a couple of suckers at the back, but basically it's like a caterpillar. And I think it's going to turn into one of those little beetles. See his hairs? He's quite a hairy fellow. I think that is just amazing. Isn't that astounding? So, like I say, a millimeter or so, well, maybe 2 millimeters long. There, trying to eat. That's interesting. Let's just watch what it eats. In the same way that, sorry, my focus, it's very finicky. Let's see what he's trying to eat here. Because, of course, at the larval stage, he'll be eating extensively. And I wonder if he doesn't eat keratin, the keratin of the feathers. Either the keratin of the feathers or perhaps something in the feces or urine of the birds. And then I suspect he'll pupate in this nest and then become a beetle inside. I think that is rather spectacular. See, he's producing silk as well. Of course, because he'll have to go into, at some stage, he'll have to go into cocoon. Now that is, he's standing there on a dung ball, a wax-billed dung ball. The white bit there, the uric acid that forms on the top of the feces and urine or waste products there. Maybe he's going to eat that. Or waste products of birds and reptiles. Look at him. There we are. Look at him eating. Isn't it amazing to get a micro view of the world like this? Then just look at the left-hand bottom side of the dung ball. You can see the little suckers that he's got there. Those are not legs. See that? They're like little sort of, well, yeah, suckers, basically. And if you look at the front of him, there you can see the legs moving now. There are the legs. There's little claws on them, all 6 of them. 1, 2, 3 on this side, 3 on the other. And at the back, I'll just try and focus in on them, the suckers. 3 each as well. And that, of course, is why those inchworms, which sort of move along in that inchworming fashion, move like they do. Gosh, how very, very fascinating indeed. So I think we've decided quite successfully that he is a dung eater. That is so special. Wowee. Was that not amazing? So I'm not sure what kind of beetle he is, but just something very special to be watching. Amazing. I'm going to keep looking in this nest for different things. While we do that, Jamie has got something, well, flying.
Oh, look at this. It's been a long time since we've had a chance to see a hoopoe, and we've got him calling. Just listen. It's incredible. I don't think we've had many opportunities to experience this. Oh, and the opportunity is almost gone. Well done, VM. How awesome was that? Do we have the best cameraman, or do we have the best cameraman? Yes, we have the best cameraman. That was absolutely wonderful. That was a hoopoe, and many of you will actually be familiar with them. You do get them in other parts of the world as well. So that sound, that whoop whoop, well, it's not very difficult to guess where the name comes from, is it? Whoop whoop. Whoop whoop. I want to try something. I left the dwarf mongoose for now. I don't know if this is going to work. But yesterday I found a nesting pair of Scops owls in our garden at Inger's. I want to try and see. I don't think we're going to be able to get a view, but I'm going to give it a go. They're just outside Mr. Voz's room. Alex Voz, our Russian genius. I'm going to try and see if there's going to be a way to get you a view of them. If not, then I promise I'll borrow Brent's camera and I'll take a picture of them. Which tree was it now? So this is where we live, and getting a behind-the-scenes glimpse into our world. And I happen to know that Mr. Voz was in final control, so we're not running the risk of bumping into him while he's just waking up. Oh, this might not have been my brightest idea. I can't even remember which tree it was. See if they're calling, because that's how I found them this morning. They were in the sort of the little trees on the left-hand side of the house. That's what we're listening for. Come on, Scops. They're the tiniest of the owl species, and they're very, very difficult to spot. And I think this might not have been my best idea. Not my best plan in the entire world. I'll show you a picture of what a Scops owl looks like. How's that? And then I will take a picture of them if they're still there. And when I'm finished with our sunrise safari, and if Brent lets me borrow his camera, which of course he will. Oh, yes, he will. Right, what does a pearl-spotted owlet, sorry, not a pearl-spotted owlet, a Scops owlet look like? It's a parrot. I can hear a parrot. Yes. Well done, Vim. We'll have a look at a brown-headed parrot instead, as they flutter off frantically. Awesome. Not the bird we were going for, but a lovely bird nevertheless. The African scops owl. Beautiful little birds, and they just have such grumpy... Now, this artist has been flattering to the scops owl, because they have incredibly grumpy expressions. They look so thoroughly unimpressed with you when you find them. That's a more accurate representation. Narrowed eyes glaring at you. That's the rufous morph, and then the grey morph is the one that we have living in the garden. They stare at you. They're just a little bit larger than my palm, or than my hand, but only by a little bit. Tiny, tiny little owls with their beautiful ear tufts. So they're lovely little birds, and I would have really liked to have been able to show you, but I think I slightly, I think I slightly overestimated or underestimated the distance between the road and the back of Inga's house. Sorry about that. It was a good attempt. I tried. Let's go and see what else we can find you. Now, I've been listening to the Game Drive channel, and it sounds as though, for those of you who sent through those updates on Tingana, it sounds as though he has wandered towards Buffelshoek. I'll keep listening to see if that is the case. Gone up towards Sydney's dam side, and by the sound of the alarm calls, he might be there. But that, of course, it could be Mvula. And Tingana might have given us the slip and gone elsewhere. So I'm going to go and check the western boundary of Djuma before we make our way back to that lion sighting. And to go and do a good scan for the big male leopard, Tingana, who often proves to be quite elusive. And of course, there's no better way to search for leopards than to look on foot. And Steph has the inimitable Herbert with him. Let's go and see if they found anything exciting.
Walking around over here looking for any sign of these leopards, we have actually managed to listen or hear of some signs. We're walking towards an area now where we heard some kudu or nyala bulls barking just now. And that bark is in response to seeing a predator. The last tracks of these leopards that Jamie is talking about, of Tingana at least anyway, are moving out in the direction straight at your lens, or straight at you and out at the back. But before we go and carry on looking for leopards, I just wanted to share this with you. This is the larder of a southern tree squirrel. Have a look at this. These are marula nuts, and the nut has a seed in it, usually 2. In this particular case, 3 seeds. Have a look there. And the squirrel has eaten out, has chewed away that thick woody casing around the marula nut and has extricated the seed. Have a look at that. And there. Now, you probably find that these nuts came from the closest marula tree. And the closest marula tree to where we are right now is that one behind me. And my feeling is that the squirrel would collect the nuts or the seeds on the floor, and then this would be the first cavity or tree cavity that he or she could find, running here storing nuts. And I mean, there must be, let's just quickly count. I'll put them up in my hands here for you. There's just, I don't know how many years worth of nuts there are here, but they're definitely enough to keep the squirrel properly fed for a dry season. This is just in one area, in one patch, hey? Have a look at this. That's just in one patch. That's awesome. Now, I don't know exactly where the squirrel has gone, but you probably find that with the amount of fruit that a marula tree can produce, and I mean they can produce bunches of these fruit, you probably find that this squirrel has a larder in almost every cavity around this tree, and will have similar larders in every cavity around every other marula tree that's growing in this area. And there are quite a few. You can see this one here behind me. There's one over there. There's another one at the back of that one. And there's another one down there, and that's probably about the limit of the range of the southern tree squirrel. They have quite a small territory, about the size of your house and yard. So I'd say a suburbed house and yard. That's about as big as a southern tree squirrel's territory gets about out here. That's awesome. Right, so off we go on in further search for our leopard. And Brent is on Cheetah Plains at the moment. Fantastic.
Well, the big cats of Cheetah Plains are proving to be somewhat tardy, I think is the correct word this morning. They're late. They haven't pitched up. I'm going to have a word with them. And look, there's a single vulture. He's also wondering, where could the big cats of Cheetah Plains be? Here we go. One poor vulture. Oh no, but there's more vultures, Brian. All around us. What could these vultures have spotted? Could there be a tardy cat around? I think it needs further investigation. What do you think, Brian? I think it needs further investigation. Let's go investigate. What could it be, one asks? Well, there's a lot of vultures around here. Maybe the Styx Pride have had some luck. Well then, to James, Joanne and Deborah, it indeed was a black-backed puffback. That was that little bird from the bird quiz. Now, let's go see. Have the Styx Pride sent another buffalo down the River Styx? So when I first got to know the Styx Pride many moons ago, they were a very big pride, not just 3 lionesses as we have now, but there were about 12 lionesses. And the story goes that they got their name because they were such successful hunters that they sent many a creature down the River Styx. I just need to see where I am. Okay. I think it's worth looking down here. All the vultures were centered around that area. Okay. Now with this drought, there's tracks of a herd of buffalo here, running tracks. Here we go. Oh, more vultures. Lots and lots of vultures. And there's Ephraim. What is Ephraim looking at, I wonder? Could he be looking at the vultures like us? How's it, Eph? Very good, and yourself, and Paul? Is my light still on? Oh, thank you. I forgot them on today. Okay. Down that side. And the one side? This side. Okay. Well, it looks like the Styx Pride have sent another buffalo down the River Styx. There we go. There's the buffalo. But you're going to have to wait to see the lions, so don't go away. There's lions all around us. We can't see any of them yet, so stay tuned for the Styx Pride. Wonder where they are. course, they're right in front of us, actually. Well, at least some of the cubs. So, there we go. Little ones having a scratch, shame. Oh. Itchy, itchy, itchy. Using that fallen marula as a rubbing post. Oh, shame. Okay, let's move a little bit, see what else is around. Lots of vultures. And of course, well, we've got some of the cubs now. Where are the lioness? Oh, there are cubs everywhere, spread out around us. They're the vultures. 1, 2, 3, 4 cubs I can see at the moment. Okay, here's one of the cubs looking nice and fat. Hello, Scruffy. Hi, Laurie, in Arizona. Laurie would like to know, would the male cubs ever join their fathers in a coalition? No, they would not, Laurie. The males, their fathers will actually chase them away. The reason for that is that they will start mating with their sisters and mothers, and they need to ensure genetic health in lions. It's one of the reasons the male cubs are chased away when they get to about 2.5, 3 years old. Now, Laurie's also wondering, would the Styx and Nkuhumas ever join forces? There's a possibility that the young males of both those prides might join forces, but the prides themselves, no. They are different females, and they will actually fight each other for territory. Now, at the moment, the Styx cubs and the adults are suffering from mange, which is causing them to look a little bit draggled and do quite a lot of scratching. Oh, that one's looking particularly bad. That's one of the smallest Styx cub. Is really not looking well. There he is there. Fat belly, but he's almost got no hair. Okay, let's go have a look at the carcass. See one lioness now. So of course there are 3 lionesses in the Styx pride, and the last time I saw them there were 6 cubs. There could have been 7. Welcome back, and here we are with the Styx. And of course, as I said, they sent another buffalo down the river Styx. And isn't this exciting? This is our other main pride. We see a lot of, we've been with Jamie and the Nkuhuma pride in the west. We're way in the east with the Styx pride. And there are 3 lionesses in this pride. And I'm not sure how many cubs at the moment. There were originally 8, but the last time I saw them, there were only 7. And it looks like they've caught a buffalo cow here. They've eaten quite a bit of it. And one lioness is lying up close to ensure the vultures do not come down and steal their hard-earned meal. The rest of the pride are spread out in little bits of shade behind that lioness. There is a male around here somewhere. We're going to go look for him. He's part of a coalition of 4 big males known as the Birminghham Boys. Now this buffalo is quite exposed. Not much shade around here. Therefore, unfortunately for them, one lioness has to keep tabs, make sure the vultures don't descend and devour. There you go, you can see they've eaten the cheeks, and they've eaten quite a bit from the rear as well, but lots of meat left here. Now, the buffalo are having a particularly torrid time at the moment, lacking in a bit of condition due to the drought, and the lions are taking advantage. Between the Styx and the Nkuhumas in the last 2 weeks or so, I probably think, must be 5 or 6 buffalo, maybe even a few more, have descended down the river Styx. So we're going to go have a look for that big male lion that's sleeping around here somewhere. While we do that, let's go back to James, who's sitting pretty in his tent.
I don't know how pretty I'm sitting, but I'm certainly still in my tent. We've been outside wandering about, fossicking and seeing what we could see. There you see we have now arrived on the tent from Cheetah Plains. I think that's rather a special thing that we're able to do to show you exactly how far we've gone. We'd also like your feedback on it, quite frankly, to see, does that actually work? Does that give you a context of where we are, or is it just a great blur of confusing topography? Let us know. We're working on them. They are a work in progress. Now, what I did find when I was outside was this burr. Now, you've all been walking through the bushes and been stuck with these things that get into your socks or onto the hairs on your legs if you happen to have furry legs like mine, and they're almost impossible to get off. And that is why, look at the incredibly sharp points on the hooks. They're like particularly sort of virulent and tangled Velcro. And inside this burr, of course, is a seed from which more of the... I don't know what plant this came from, but the seed will grow into whatever it was and will create more burrs. But look at them. They're astounding. Now, if you come back to me, what I will do is I'll show you, how sticky it is. Just watch my hand as I open it out. You see that, David? It's just astounding. It's amazing how sticky it is, and there it is sticking onto my hair. That's the most fascinating shot you'll see all day, isn't it, David?
Yes, James.
Yes, very nice. Now, what else we have here? The fossicker-in-chief, Tayla McCurdy, has found us an uthika that seems to have something in it. But whatever it is, let me shake it next to my microphone. Whatever it is, I don't think it's alive if it's bouncing around like that. So let's open it up. We'll put it onto the microscope, onto the little table of the world's most irritating microscope. We'll cut it open with my very fine scalpel blade. You can see that I have here the same one that we use to behead Woody. It is, I'm afraid, bespattered in woodpecker blood. We're just going to chop the end off, maybe. It's proving quite difficult to get into. Right, there we are. Now, Open it up. You can see there, can you, David?
Yes.
Well, wasn't that exciting? That is a little bit like opening up a gift that is a box and finding in it nothing. Ah, there's what was there. That's what was making the noise. That little piece there. Let's put him under the microscope and see if it is in fact an alien life form or just something that is like a stone. I suspect the latter quite strongly. Let's go up a little bit, push it under there, and try and focus. This is absolutely riveting, isn't it, David? I mean, it's a real world of discovery. I don't know what that is. It looks like a piece of mantis brain, perhaps. I couldn't begin to tell you what that is, but that's what was shaking around in the Uthaka. That is so disappointing. I expected to find a kind of hardened, half-formed mantis in there. Instead, we found, I don't know what we found, really. You know what? If you look to the top and left of that thing, I wonder if that isn't the forming of legs or joints, perhaps, of the mantis. But maybe not. Maybe it's just its brain. Anyway, that's that one there. Now, the next thing I have to show you, it was disgusting, is this piece of wood that Steph found yesterday for me. And I'm just going to carve it up a little bit so that you get a really nice sense of its smell. I'm not making a spoon, no, Kirsten. You know that that's ridiculous for someone of my skills. Now, what we're going to do, everybody, is have a smell of this. Just take a deep breath. Ah, isn't that nice, David?
Beautiful.
What it smells of is, I suppose, a very subtle Indian bazaar, if you know what I mean. It smells like incense, basically, but it's very subtle. And you don't want to be spending too much time with your face inside the tambuti wood. It's tambuti wood, Stachys africanus. It's highly toxic. And that smell, if you burn this wood, it can, in fact, kill you. But what my grandfather used to do, and I hardly remember the old boy, but he used to have a big log of tambuti in his home. And in winter, when he had a fire in the hearth, he'd put this on for about, probably about 5 minutes. It would fill the room with this delicious scent, and then he'd take it off so as not to poison the family to death, which of course would have been unfortunate. The other thing I'm going to show you is the grain on this wood. Look at that. Hundreds of colors of gold, copper, and very dark red. That particular red piece on the bottom right there may be woodpecker blood. Okay. We'll see what else we can find in the bush out here. Let's go across to Jamie and have a look at the home of a bird.
I'm so relieved that the shikra have decided to stay and continue to nest in this particular spot. I thought they'd moved and abandoned this nest site, but I was mistaken. And look at this amazing little bird. Incredible birds of prey, very, very tiny, with that bright cherry red eye that is so distinctive. We hardly ever get to see shikra on our live safari, so the fact that we've got a nesting pair is just so incredibly special, and we're able to watch them, hopefully, as they raise their brood. For now, though, the shikra is currently occupied, fixing up its nests. Looks as though it's building. I don't think they've laid an egg yet, although we are getting to that point, the time of the year when most of our birds of prey, and in fact most of our other birds as well, are going to start nesting. This is incredible to watch. Now, the first time we found this nest, the pair of them was here, and they were busy breaking off branches, which I have to be honest, I didn't know that they did. I thought they just collected fallen ones. I didn't realize that they actively, off he goes, that they actively broke off the branches that they used to build their nests. Now I've also seen the warburgs doing it, so it's obviously quite a common bird of prey thing. They've got the strength and they've got the talons and the skill to break off branches. We saw the warburgs doing it with the guari bushes. I wonder where the other one is. I'm going to try and reposition so we can get another view of it. It's also known as the little banded goshawk. Now this is the smallest of the goshawk species that I think we see out here. I'm trying to think if there's one smaller. I don't think so. Where have you gone, little Shikra? Yeah, he definitely stopped there. Where did he go from there? Oh, there. Here we go. Awesome. Now, James, you were wondering, James Richard from New York, good morning as always, and welcome to our sunrise safari. You wanted to know which of our birds lays the smallest eggs. I don't know which bird would lay the smallest one. My suggestion would be a fairy flycatcher, since it is one of the smallest, tiniest little bird species that we get out here. Wouldn't mind passing that question on to some of the other guides, perhaps Brent and James, and see what their opinions are, and Steph, in terms of which would be the smallest. My guess would be a fairy flycatcher would be very, very small. And of course, there's sometimes a bit of a strange correspondence between the size of the bird and the size of their eggs. Oh! That's exactly what the Shikra thought of that sentence, which is fair enough, because it wasn't really a very well-formulated one at all. I sort of mean that... Oh, bye. Off he goes again. Let's try this one more time. I sort of mean some birds lay eggs that are disproportionately large for their size, and some slightly smaller. That was what that entire convoluted sentence was meant to mean. The pair of them are here. There's two. One is still in the marula tree, and the other is gone. The joys of live wildlife filming, particularly when your subjects have wings. Come on. And particularly when they decide to pop themselves straight into the sun. There you go, you should be able to see it from there, Viam. In the back of that marula tree. There we go, well done. How exciting is this? The joy, of course, of our live safari experience. You might come out here on safari and perhaps maybe even a couple of weeks driving around, but you'll never have the follow-on that these live drives are able to provide. And we can stay here, and I'm really hoping that they will. We'll watch them as they raise food, and off they both go. And they're heading off. They've got to balance their time between nest building and feeding themselves as well. And of course the female has to start to really bulk up so that she can prepare for egg laying, dedicated to raising their brood. Now there's that messy nest one last time. Messy but surprisingly structurally sound. That they're fluttering off. Let's go back over to Brent, who's done a marvelous job of finding those Styx lions on Cheetah Plains. Let's bounce all the way back to the...
So we've caught up with the big male lion, and he's having a snooze in the shade. And while we've been sitting here, something else, you're going to have to come back to see what it is. Oh, there we go, there's the male lion sleeping in the shade, and the river Styx has been flowing overnight, and the Styx pride living up to their name. Brian noticed while we're sitting here that there's a buffalo carcass. So they caught two. Go have a now, with the amount of vultures around, and there's already 2 carcasses, and the cubs, I almost wonder if there's a third. Not impossible, especially with this drought and these buffalo herds suffering quite heavily at the moment, having to travel massive distances between food and water. There we go, another adult buffalo cow. And, oh, there we go. They've eaten a bit more of this one. There she is. There's another lioness, so we've seen 2 lionesses now. How's that, Brian? So we've seen 2 lionesses and 4 cubs and 1. So we're still missing 1 lioness. And now Fran's wondering how long will it take to pick a buffalo. Sorry, Brian, quickly, look at that. There's a tree climbing cub. He's quite high off the ground. Sorry, Fran, distracted there by... Now, it all depends. Fran sometimes can be picked hours, especially if there's enough vultures present. From the vultures, it'll probably 2 or 3 days. But let's go back in the tent.
I am imitating, of course, the crested barbet outside. We've been looking at egg sizes on, and we have found that the smallest egg that we can find so far, grey penduline tit egg, just 14 millimeters, or just over half an inch long. Apparently slightly longer than that, at about 25 millimeters, which is about... We're going to Tech Loop.
that the local guys out here have used terminalia to work their wares on the handles for hundreds of years, and that's why I'm using that. Now I set my trigger over here so that you can have a look at it. I'm using dental floss because dental floss is a fantastic survival tool. It is made of ultra strong fiber, and literally, although you can bite through it fairly easy, there isn't a lighter weight fiber that gives you as much strength. Steel would be better, but of course I don't want to do that out here. Alright, now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making a loop. I haven't quite figured out exactly how my loop is going to be attached just yet, but I think what I want to do is attach it to my trigger. There we go. I'm going to do this. I'm going to tie it, because I don't want this to come loose. This needs to stay. Now, a lot of you might be asking, you know, what's the difference between this and snaring? What's the difference between trapping and snaring? Essentially, from a definition point of view, not much. But I won't be using this to catch animals. This is just a demonstration about a survival technique. And people have been using survival techniques for centuries. They developed from our earliest means of collecting protein. For us to run around in the bush with a bow and arrow and with spears is something that is more fantasy than reality. The reality is, to hunt big things is dangerous. And there are a lot more smaller things in the world than there are bigger things. And it's a lot easier to catch mice and rabbits and Franklin and, you know, all that stuff than it is to catch buffalo and elephant, and no matter how we decide to do those traps. So what I'm basically doing is now I'm going to be doing a loop here at the end. So I twist this through itself. Hopefully my shaky hands don't betray it too much. Can you all see the concentration creases on my forehead? I'm sure Kirsty and them are having a good laugh. So let me just get that done. Just looking for a little loop. There we go. Kirsty says that's affirmative. They are laughing at us quite a lot. Alright, then I do this. I might even decide to floss my teeth with this when it's finally done. Alright, now I'm going to set my trigger. I'm going to set the hair trigger on that in a little bit. I'll be a lot more careful if this is actually for food purposes in making sure that these particular sticks were a bit longer. Of course, you can try and get yourself a loop that stays open. I'm missing a portion of this for you. Let me just see what I can do here to make it a little bit easier. Anyway, the loop needs to stay open here, and then what you do is you set the trigger here. Whoop.
Now, everybody, sorry about that. Now you can hear my voice echoing twice. Ha 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 ha. Now, just before I show you what I've got over here, I must just display something to you. Just over here, outside the tent, is Tayla. Here she is. Hello, Tayla.
Good morning,
now,
everybody.
Tayla has constructed something that she believes to be a, well, I'm going to let you talk us through it. No, you can't because you don't have a microphone on. I'm going to, why don't you tell us what this is?
It's getting very intimate with James
Yes.
this morning. So, this morning I managed to create this wonderful piece of equipment for things that you can find in your kitchen. As you can see, I've got some tape, thank you cameraman, and I've got this packet which was from a lamp that I purchased, and then I found this trusty stick and a friend's
And what's
stick.
it for?
Well, the main purpose of this is to catch flying insects. Yesterday I was running around dive bombing, very dirty. I don't think the laundry staff was very happy with the state of my clothes. However, I've decided that I need a net. Could not find a net in town, but here we go.
How many
packet.
insects have you caught with this thing?
Well,
Be honest.
This morning I caught a moth, but it was dead already. But no, this afternoon will be the real test. Unfortunately, nothing has
Yes.
quite woken up, but that's my excuse that I'm going with.
It is my humble opinion that this is going to be an insect braining implement rather than an insect catching one. This, of course, will be very effective at knocking an insect completely senseless before it drops haplessly into the bottom of the net. Either way, maybe it will be effective when the insects start flying. I'm unconvinced so far, but let's see what happens. Thank you for your efforts.
It's a pleasure.
And maybe Mark II, maybe slightly
Mark II?
less filled, but I mean,
No problem.
as you were.
That's my
Thank
project.
you.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Now, she has actually been relatively successful today. The other experience or experiment that we've had has been with this freezing thing. I can hear oxpeckers. Oxpeckers sit on antelope and buffalo, but I don't see anything there. Tayla found a Polyrhynchus ant, everyone, and the Polyrhynchus ant, of course, is a very fast mover, but not when it's been placed in the cooler box for a little while. Now, it's going to warm up again, and it's going to become a lot more mobile, so before it does, we need to quickly take the microscope out and have a look at it. Don't move. It's already too mobile. It's not cold enough yet, but there it is. If we go quickly to the microscope feed, you might see, there we are. There you are. There it is. Polyrhynchus, the ant, kicking away. Now, I don't know if you can see, but it's got those spines on its abdomen. The spines on the abdomen, I'm sorry everybody, I know that really is not a great shot. We're going to put him back in the cooler box, I think. Just cool him down a bit and then we'll have a better look at him. He will be released fully intact once he's been in the cooler box for a little while. Next thing I wanted to show you is this quite horrific creature. Look at that. It's a fly. Now, it's a big fly that we managed to catch yesterday. I did kill this. I felt nothing for killing this fly, I have to tell you. I don't know why. I feel like a fly should have less right to life than me, but I do. And so I murdered it, and here it is. Now, what I particularly want you to look at is those red things. Can you see those two little red things? You want to know what a mite looks like? That, everybody, is what a mite looks like. So we found one on the eye of the fly. That rhymes, David. Nice. And what's interesting to me is that if you read about what drives so much of the evolution of life, what you find is that it is the avoidance, largely, of parasites. A mite like this is probably a parasite on this fly. So even the humble fly will be in a constant war with parasites, parasitoids, viruses, bacteria, fungus, mites like this, various other things that will try and take its nutrients and will, in an effort to survive, in much the same way that I suppose you might consider us parasites of the world. And that's what's going on here. The mites, I believe, also to be dead. Yes, they don't seem to be moving. I will tell you how I killed this fly if you'd like to know. It was quite effective. What I did was that let's come back to me if you don't mind. What I did was I put it into this box here, and it flew around in there for a while and it wouldn't stop moving around. So what I then did was to put a little bit of hand sanitizer inside it, and that very effectively poisoned it. So we shall be doing that again, no doubt, with many of the larger fly species that we find out here. Stefan Winterboer, I believe, is still he's frozen. He can't be crossed to at the moment. Let's put the ant into its cooler box. I don't know that I've got much else new to show you at the moment, but there was something. All right, while I find what it was, let's head across to Steph. He has unfrozen himself, unlike Polyrhynchus.
I have unfrozen myself, and I've managed to get that loop right that my shaky hands weren't wanting to get right, and now I'm setting the area, I'm setting the stage. So basically what I've done is I've created my loop, as you can see over there, for the size of the animal that I'd like to catch. And this in particular is a bird trap. Birds are easier to catch than mice, and they also than mice and rabbits. They also require less effort. They can't chew through things. So now what I've done is I've set my trap. I'm now setting the stage, and what you want to try and do is you want to try to create a type of funnel effect into your trap. So you use bits and pieces of wood and camouflage. And what you can see is I'm creating a natural avenue for the animals to come through. Ooh, I'm almost setting my own trap off over here. For the bird to come through. Dust it with a little bit of, and then what you do is you go and fetch some fresh elephant dung. Yeah, and remember folks, this is just as a display. This is as a survival technique display. I'm not actually setting anything over here. Now what I'm doing is I'm using some elephant dung to bait my trap. I want to catch a bird here. And so what I'm doing is I'm putting some elephant dung, which has got some seeds in it, some termites. Right, and I'd look for the freshest dung that I can. You don't want to go and use old dung like this. Obviously, the bush is littered with old dung. Birds have already had a chance to go through this, and so you'd really want a fresh one, or one that's just covered in termites. That's what you actually want. All right, and now what I try and do is set my hair trigger. Depends on the bird that you want to catch. Now a hair trigger is exactly that. It's the sensitive part of your trap. There we go. Comes through the trap, gets its body stuck, walks a bit, boom, and is bounced off its feet, as you can see. Trap works. 100%. Ta-da! Alright, reset it for you again. And there we go. Alright, so that is my trap. Let's do it one more time, just for you out there. Bird comes in, pushes to get through to the dung, gets caught, springs the trap, and is suspended in the air, waiting your pleasure. Alright, and that is Trapping 101. You're off to Jamie for an update.
And no live safari experience is complete without spending a little bit of time with Africa's giants. And here we have what promises to be a magnificent sighting of a whole herd of elephants making their way towards us, slowly but surely. Hey, not the Kigelia. The Kigelia. Don't eat our sausage tree. It's the only sausage tree on Nkuhuma. Hey! Shame. Can't begrudge them any food this time of year. Although I do wish he wouldn't eat the sausage tree. As I said, we've only got one of them. It'd be nice if we could keep that particular one intact. Yes, little boy, I also saw you trying to dig up the pipes. The elephants at the moment, whilst they do have water around, there's the Jumapan. Oh, look at that. Footrest. Ah, there we go. Stretching right up. Whilst they do have access to water, elephants always prefer to drink fresh stuff if they can find it. And what that means is that at this time of year, they become, I wouldn't call them a nuisance, but they certainly have a tendency to dig up water pipes that take the water from underneath the ground to the various lodges and the various houses of the area. And on a relatively regular basis, they dig them up and break them so that they can suck up the water if that's coming through them. And that was a male that was stretching up to the sausage tree. We've got a female here and a little calf. Ears flapping gently as the morning starts to heat up. A certain sense of serenity that we get whenever we spend a little bit of time with these wonderful creatures. And there's probably about 10 or so in this particular herd. They're just taking their time, moving through the dense vegetation. Oh, little one. Stopping to have a quick drink from Mom. And very soon, that supply is no longer going to be on offer. You can see this tusk just starting to poke through. And this little one is probably about 2.5, maybe even close to 3. So it's going to be weaned relatively soon. At which point, of course, baby elephants, like other animals, have serious weaning tantrums. We see it a couple of times with the lion cubs as well. By the way, we will be going back to those lion cubs. We do see it with the lion cubs as well, where if the mom moves off while they're still trying to suckle, they get very stroppy. Though nothing gets as stroppy as a baby elephant can do. Kerry, you've asked a fascinating question that, funnily enough, I never knew until I started working at Safari Live. And I think it was when I very first started working here, and Scott was answering a question on arthritis, and that's the question that Kerry has. Scott was answering a question on elephant arthritis, and we all concluded that none of us knew anything about it, and off we dashed to do some research. So Kerry's doing the same thing, and has recently discovered that elephants in captivity suffer from painful arthritis. And do we ever see any signs of this in the wild? It seems most definitely to be far more prevalent for elephants in captivity, which just goes to show there must be some kind of link in terms of the activity and the movements, or perhaps the type of food that they're eating. There must be something different that elephants experience in captivity. If I had to sort of try and guess at what it would be, my suggestion would be the amount of movement. That being said, when you see a really old elephant, especially the old cows I've noticed, they have a certain, I don't know if it's arthritis, I really don't, it doesn't seem to occur that much in the wild, but they do have a certain way of moving quite gingerly, carefully, and slowly. And that's possible that it's because their joints are hurting them a little bit. And just think, I mean, look at her going down on her knees. Awesome. She's going to try and move this whole tree away so that she can get to what's underneath it. Oh. That was quite a half-hearted effort. Shh. You finished? Yes, thank you. I've forgotten what I was going to say now. The Franklin's calling took it straight out of my head. There was something about elephants and old elephants and... Oh, I remember what it was going to be. You know how ballerinas often suffer from serious toe problems and joint problems in their feet. Just think about the elephant's foot structure and how much pressure those joints are truly under. An elephant, of course, walks on its tiptoes, believe it or not. It's got 5 toes, and they are spread out and around the circle of the foot on the right on the tips of the bone, and then resting almost kind of like a wedge shoe. They rest on a cushiony, spongy tissue underneath it. And that's what gives them that amazing roundness to their track, and also one of the big reasons why they're such silent walkers for such big animals. But just think, those poor toes. I know they're built that way, they're obviously designed that way for a reason. But carrying the weight for an adult bull elephant of up to 6 tons, 7 tons, in some record-breaking cases much larger than that. And yes, it's distributed across 4 feet, but it's still a mammoth task for an elephant's foot. It does make me wonder whether or not their joints don't start to ache after a while. Good morning to Christopher in Arizona. Another lovely question, and it's so bizarre because I've read something about this recently and I cannot remember the answer. And Christopher wanted to know where the story comes from of elephants eating peanuts. And I'm thinking perhaps we'll lay that blame on Hollywood or Disney. Dumbo siphoning up. Oh! What was that? It's a very funny sound. Dumbo is siphoning up peanuts with his trunk and cracking them open. I'm trying to think if there's some kind of connection to legumes. There's something I read somewhere about it. So those of you who are familiar, perhaps you know the answer to what I'm thinking of. I know there's some kind of connection with peanuts and where that story comes from. Of course, we don't get any peanuts naturally occurring out in the wild here. We might get certain legumes, certain bulbs that might be similar, that elephants most definitely would target and are actually quite an important source of protein for them. And I don't know where the story of the peanut eating elephant came from. They certainly have a sweet tooth, that I can tell you. And there's nothing more that they enjoy than certain types of fruit. And there's elephants in parts of South Africa that have become notorious, and people have to be warned about them, for actually breaking into private motor vehicles that are parked in car parks and so on that have fruit in them. And the elephants have learnt to become car thieves. And they break open the windows and they pick up the pawpaws or the oranges or whatever happens to be in those cars, in those vehicles. I think that must be quite an interesting sight to see. As lovely as these elephants are, I'm going to move on back towards those lion cubs for our last half an hour of the sunrise safari. Let's travel back over, not too far away, just up the hill there, back to James in the tent.
Exoprosopa. That's what we have here, David. Yes, Exoprosopa. Let's have a look at him on the microscope. That's him there. Everybody, so named for the amazing wing patterns that he has, and we'll just go a little bit out and you can see that he is a fly, another fly from the genus Exoprosopa. Now, there are many different kinds of these Exoprosopa flies, and you know what? The family contains over 940 different species of fly, and these particular ones are parasites. So their larvae will parasitize things like grasshoppers and bees. And they're actually called bee flies because of their adult's ability to hover and accurately hover. And I don't know, I'm sure many of you, if you come back this way, I'm sure many of you have had these amazing flies or insects hovering sort of accurately next to you, and then they move to the side sort of almost robotically, and then back, then forward, then up and then down in an amazingly accurate way. And that's one of these things. And they have to hover like that because they feed from very tiny little flowers, and they've got a long proboscis that they stick into that flower. But you can imagine hovering above a flower like that and being able to stick in a long proboscis twice the length of your own body into the nectar or nectaries of a flower. you need to be extremely accurate and able to judge incredibly the air currents all around you, because one very slight movement will move your proboscis out of the nectary and you will be forced to go hungry. Now what I thought we'd do, it's just come to me now, actually, a flash of inspiration. I thought we'd go outside for a second, because we talk a lot, I don't need those cookies, I've got them outside. We talk a lot about families and orders and different things like that, and kingdoms, and I thought maybe we'd just have a very quick diagram of the taxonomy of animals. And I think it's important because we talk about these things, but I think it's kind of taken almost for granted that people know what we're talking about, but they're not always terms that people get. So what we're going to do is, as we're approaching World Rhino Day, we'll do it for a rhino, okay? So we're going to classify a rhino from beginning to end, if you like. So the first thing we have is the kingdom. See that? We'll draw a little crown, David.
Yes.
Yes, that's what that is there. And the kingdom, of course, is animal, right? Then we go down to class. And do you know what class it is, David?
No.
Well, you'll find that the class, in fact, sorry, I've made a mess here. We're going to go to phylum. And the phylum is a chordata, or vertebrates. So that means that it's got a backbone. Right? This is a very basic kind of idea. Vertebrate. Right? And then we go down another level and we go to class. And you know what class it is, David?
No, David.
It's a mammal, David. Right? And then we go down to order. Do you know what order it is, David? It is a part of the, I think it is the odd-toed ungulates, right? Now, Carla, you want to know why we don't look at mammals, at least. You want to know why we don't look at rhinos, Carla? We don't look at rhinos because, ungulate. There we go. This is not particularly entertaining, but it's going to get slightly more so. Carlo, we don't look at them because they are obviously endangered by poachers. We don't want to contribute in any shape, way or form to poaching. We don't know if there'll be poachers watching the show or not. We're pretty sure there won't be, but we don't want to contribute in any shape, way or form to it, and so we just avoid showing them. Called in on the radios here, and that's basically why we don't show them. Then we go down to family. You can see I have absolutely no aptitude for proportion. The family, David, is the Rhinoceridae. I'm just going to put rhinos. And then we go down to genus, and the genus for the white rhino is Ceratothemium. I'm absolutely hopeless at this. Ceratothemium, I think. And then we go down to species, and the species is Simum. Right, so the point here, everybody, let me get another color. The black one is not. So the kingdom, that's pretty obvious. It's an animal. It's not a plant. It's not a fungus. It's not a bacteria. It's not an algae, for example. A phylum, it's not, we know here that it is not an insect, so the insects would be off here, as will, or all the arthropods would be off here. We know class, it's a mammal, in other words, it's not a fish, and it's not a reptile, and the order, we know that it's an odd-toed ungulate, it's not even-toed, so it's not, say, a buffalo. Right? With the family, we know it's a rhino. We know it's not, for example, what would be another family of odd would be the horses. So we know it's not a horse. Ceratothemium, we know it's not a black rhino. There's actually no other representative of the genus. And there's only one white rhino. An amazing, incredible thing, and if you look over here, you can see it's very important that we look down towards that particular. Yes. Fantastic. Okay, that's all I have to tell you. And let's go across to Brent, who I think is in the Mawati drainage.
We're in search of the mythical white-throated robin that... So So we're in the Milwaukee River. Of course, not only white-throated robin, also just checking, see if there's any sign of leopard around this dry riverbed. It's a favorite spot for leopard, but so far, no luck. Although the big cats of Cheetah Plains did eventually come out to play, and nice to see the Styx with not one, but 2 buffalo kills. I think we're a little bit late. We should have to listen to see if we could hear that white-throated robin calling. Ooh. Oh, he's going to fly past. No, go. Best. I just wish it would land. It is a beautiful butterfly if it ever lands. Where'd it go, Brian? I lost it. Lost it. Oh, well, there was a butterfly. It was a citrus swale. Better eating it.
I was just trying to sort of redo what I did before, but I'm not going to subject you to that. Let's go back in here and see what we can find you to look at. I feel 2 lessons in taxonomy from me in one day would be more than I think. Let's go to Polyrenkus and see how he's doing. Sorry, David, I know this is very difficult for you to keep up with me lighting-wise, but I'm doing my level best here. I wasn't expecting to go. Let us remove this beastly fly from here. Now, Polly. On. Yes. No. Not calm. We're going to take loop. We are losing the streak.
So unfortunately we experienced some tech difficulties. That's one of the things about being live and in the bush, but our tech crew is on it and not asleep like the lions behind me. Hopefully we'll be back with you shortly. Apologize for the technical difficulties. Hopefully they're all sorted now. We're still cruising the Robin Chats. And I think it is the wrong Robin Chat. It's up ahead still. Sounds like a white-browed scrub robin, not the elusive white-throated. We will get this bird one day, I still almost focus a full drive on searching for the white-throated robin chat. What do you think, Brian? I think we definitely need to get in pre-dawn. Oh, hello. What have we got? Oh, guys, unfortunately, it seems like the technical difficulties are not and it's turning into the problem than we originally thought, so we're going to get stuck in and hopefully it'll be all sorted. It's all business here, you know, with his dashing red tie, and we will see you tomorrow for the sunrise safari. Apologize and goodbye.